Any nightmares about Terminators?
No, I'm much more the fan of the film Her.
خب بالاخره یه پیوسته خارجی داریم. این دفعه اومدیم به اسپیناس پالاس تا در مورد یک کتاب جالب حرف بزنیم. آخرین نوشته کریس اسکینر، متفکر و سخنران مشهور حوزه بانکداری و بانکداری دیجیتال که اومده ایران و به خاطر همایش بانکداری نوین و نظام‌های پرداخت قراره که یک سخنرانی خیلی جالب داشته باشه. این کتابش توسط انتشارات گرایش تازه و با حمایت مجموعه GSS منتشر شده و الان قراره که ما یه گپ خیلی خوب با کریس تا چند لحظه دیگه همینجا داشته باشیم. اگه به حوزه هوش مصنوعی علاقه‌مند هستین احتمالاً این مصاحبه بسیار برای شما جالب خواهد بود، به خصوص چون قراره توی اون راجع به این حرف بزنم که اساساً آیا هوش مصنوعی خوب هست یا نه و اصلا به درد حوزه مالی میخوره یا نه. آیا شما یه دستیار هوش مصنوعی میخواین و جرأت دارین که پولتون رو بسپارید دست چت جی پی تی؟ با کریس راجع به این مسائل صحبت می‌کنیم که توی کتاب تازه‌اش به خوبی در موردشون صحبت شده و نکته آخر این که اگه به این حوزه علاقه‌مند هستین احتمالاً دوست دارید که ویدئوی جالب ما در همین حوزه و یک پنلی که در مورد هوش مصنوعی و بانکداری داشتیم رو تماشا کنید. میتونید برید اینجا اون رو ببینید و احتمالاً برای شما جالب خواهد بود. Okay, thanks for squeezing us in a very, very busy day. As far as I know, it's not your first time in Iran, right? It's your third time, yeah?
That's right. I was here in 2012, 2014.
Yes, you're very, very familiar with Iran and situations in Iran and banking system in Iran. You have many friends in Iran. Considering the many headaches of traveling to the region, to the Middle East right now, especially in Iran, do you love our country? I mean, I know it's not without frictions or restrictions for you personally. Do you like to be in Iran and be in touch with this community or what?
I love being in Iran. And, you know, the first time I was coming over, because the way Western media, and particularly American media, portray the country, I was nervous about coming over, but got a lot of reassurances from friends. And when I arrived, was actually amazed that on the streets, it's one of the most friendly places in the world.
Yes, it is.
It's just, well, back in 2012, big problems with the government. And I think Iran is opening a bit now. Hopefully we'll come out of sanctions.
Yes, you always talk about the time that we come out of the sanctions. You're one of those people who are always optimistic about the global situation. We will come to that after a short brief on your book. I don't want to spoil any discussions in your book, in your recent book, your lovely book, Intelligent Money. And but I think the most important thing that you put an emphasis on in your lovely book, it's about generating finance. It's one of your coin catchphrases. You always come up with these things. I love that. I want to, if it's possible, to give us a short brief on what is generating finance to you, and why do you think it's important for current wave of new banking in Iran?
Yeah, I mean, there's several themes in the book, but the two big ones is integrating artificial intelligence into the financial system. So a chat GPT financial manager, basically, that you don't have to think about your money thinks for you. And it's interesting because Revolut, which is one of the big fintech startups, one of the largest in the world, valued at 50 billion, has just announced their 2025 projects. And one of those is a generative financial manager for you. Using AI. And the other big theme in the book is the friction between centralized and decentralized money and how that plays out, because if money is decentralized and run by the power of the people on the network, then it completely ignores all borders of countries and it ignores all the rules. It can do its own thing. And that's the whole vision from 2009 that Satoshi Nakamoto had for Bitcoin. And there's now thousands of coins, but its first line of the paper was a peer-to-peer currency that requires no financial intermediary to make peer-to-peer payments.
I know you're a big fan of, concepts such as open banking, no banks, digital banks, and of course generative finance. And many of your dreams, many of those borders, visions you draw through these decades, many of them came true in Iran or in the world. But to be honest, when it comes to AI in Iran, to many people it's just a hype, to be honest. It's a gold rush for many enterprises, tech startups. Yesterday I had a panel with some of tech startups and tech enterprises. We were talking exactly about the new wave of e-commerce, and many of them, they were dismissive about the new role and the big role of AI in their businesses, because they said, of course, it's very sexy. It's one of those things that people come to when they want to pitch it to the ventures, to the funds. But when it comes to practical day-to-day work, they don't have enough clean or information, data to feed to the system, feed to the AI algorithms to make it work for their businesses or for the organizations. What do you think? What's your take on that?
I think they're ignoring change. They don't know what they're talking about.
They were quite young people at tech startups and enterprises, FYI.
Well, I'll give you some examples of why. So I had a vision back in probably 2008, maybe 2007, that avatars that are computer generated looking humans would be providing video services for banks in place of humans, and that 90% of humans who would previously provide remote services online would be now replaced by AI-generated, integrated video avatars. That's coming true. I said 8 years ago that the one thing that AI could never replace is human creativity, and yet it is.
They did.
But I still say AI cannot replace human creativity or input, because all that most AI is doing is scraping what we've already created into new generations of forms. So far. I've always said that AI can't replace human relationships and emotions, but it can provide generative finance, and it can provide a way of helping us to do things very quickly. So I'm blogging every single day, and I've been doing it for almost 20 years. I almost feel now like I could give up, because I can say to the text engines, generate a blog in the style of Esskiner about this. And I've tried it a couple of times, and it works.
Yes,
and this new book was generated by a AI engine, not my writing, but the Persian version.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's something.
Yeah.
I know you're a big fan of AI. Anybody to take a look at your books, at your works, at your blog, at your very lovely blog. I mean, Financer, right? It's a lovely blog. Anybody who takes a look at this, they know you're a big fan of AI. But at the end of the day, Chris, when we are talking about the futuristic aspects of AI, don't you think that at the end of the day, you have some personal ethical doubts about this situation? Because many intellectuals talk about that. And when you're integrating these things into financial day-to-day matters of the people, it means you're giving it more access to be integrated to the everyday life. What's your take on that? Don't you have any existential, questions about this?
Well, you can roll things back to when the mobile phone came in, and everyone argued about why would you want one of those, and yet now everyone has one or two or three.
Yes.
You could argue about the dangers of the internet and the dark web, and many people do, but gradually we get balance to make these things work properly. You could go back to when the Luddites were destroying machines and saying this is just making humans become worthless, and that's what we're saying about AI. It's progress. And
any nightmares about Terminators?
No, I'm much more the fan of the film Her.
Yeah.
With Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson.
Of course.
Well, I will fall in love with my computer.
You're a tech fan indeed. I mean,
well, we're already on robots and the next generation of things that are coming through. And there's a lovely story this morning, which I picked up, where a very small little robot in China was going around the exhibition halls in the evening of a major exhibition of robotics, and was talking to the other robots. This is in the night time, and he's meant to be there for security. And these are big robots. And he ordered 12 of them to follow him out of their exhibit halls and go into the other ones on different vendor stands.
Oh, algorithms talking to each other.
But robots integrated with artificial intelligence. It's very fearful, but for some, or it's very positive for others.
Yes.
I don't know whether you watch Black Mirror.
Yes, that's my nightmares.
Yeah, that's all about the nightmares of technology. But most of them don't come true. The Terminator is a nightmare of technology, but I'd rather think of falling in love with my computers.
Great talk. I just have so many questions. I'm trying to squeeze in as many as possible. Recently in Iran, if we consider AI and generative finance inevitable in a way, please consider this. In Iran, in recent years, we had so many security incidents, such as, I don't know, the data of the people breached to the internet. There was many, I don't know, ransomwares, hackers getting bitcoins to set your database free. I'm sure you heard about some of that in global scale. And so many things. Of course, the situation of Iran in security field is totally different. You know that because it's, I don't know, the usual business wars and of course the political plan against Iranian infrastructure. When you put AI mind behind financial decisions of everyday Iranian, don't you think it's put more dangers on these fractions and breaches and puts more pressure on these things? Because when I think about this thing, I'm talking, okay, after this, integrating this AI mind, AI engines into my neobank, I don't know if it's any of these processes of, personal finance, it's happening by me or by the machine or it's the hacker. I don't know. It looks like more than a nightmare or sci-fi nightmare to me. What's your take on that? Don't you think all these security concerns in Iran market could be difficulties for AI integrated into everyday life of Iranians?
I mean, it's back to the Terminator question.
Of course.
So there's a lot of deep fake scams going on at the moment. The latest one covered in the UK is a guy who lost 75,000 British pounds because there was an advert that he saw from a famous financial journalist with Elon Musk about cryptocurrencies. Oh. And so he invested in cryptocurrencies, but they didn't exist. It was just some guy taking the money. But
very, very deep fake.
Yeah, it was making it look like his money was going up, but actually the money was going out.
Exactly my point. Yeah.
But
with a story.
But it's always a balance, with every form of progress, there then has to be a balance. It's a bit like, why do we wear seatbelts in cars? We never used to, but now it's a law that says you have to wear a seatbelt if you're driving a car. But now there's self-driving cars. Can I not lie down in the back seat and have a sleep?
Yeah. Good example.
And we get there, I mean.
So the cars are getting faster, so the secure measurements are getting more efficient, right? Mm-hmm. So your point is, it's the part of the process, it's the kind of risk that we all have to take, no matter what.
And I am a huge fan of the late David Bowie, and life on Mars was his question. And now Elon Musk is making life on Mars happen with SpaceX. I never thought that would be something we would see. When you think about, it's only 100 years ago we started flying in airplanes, and commercial jets were only just opening.
That was your day, right? The way Elon Musk, the day Elon Musk sent that car to the space with David Bowie.
Well, yes, exactly. But
it was your kind of move.
It's going to be very soon at the stage where any of us could go into space for the same price as a flight ticket today.
Great. I mean, okay. And my last question, because it's getting tighter and tighter. And my last question, it was about the last chapter of your book, your lovely book. It's WTF, what's the future?
Yeah.
What will happen in this field? What will be the next step for ecosystems like banking in Iran? You're very familiar with this banking system in Iran, and you know it's somehow used to come up with its own solutions and ideas of development because they've been isolated from the world global market. What's your take on the next step of generative finance for Iranian market? What's your predictions?
Well, there's a whole load of other technologies still developing, and we're just at the cusp of artificial general intelligence rather than artificial intelligence. So the second generation of AI, we are going to get to the stage where we get to artificial superintelligence, which is the generation where you can't tell the difference between an AI and a human, and integrate that with robotics, as I say. They could be your financial managers for you in a physical space as well as a virtual space. But the one that's most exciting me technologically at the moment is quantum computing, because that could be 100 times faster than our current supercomputers and 100 times cheaper. And it's because we're changing the structure of the technology from a byte-based technology, which is 8 bits in a byte, then you go to megabytes, kilobytes, terabytes, to you don't know whether it's a 1 or 0 when you go to the bits and bytes. And this is based on an illustrative thing, very complicated, called Schrodinger's cat, which is an experiment that a scientist Schrodinger did, posing the question, if you put a cat in a box next to some poison, when you open the box, will it be a dead cat or a live cat?
Yes, Schrodinger.
Yeah, and that's what quantum computing is. You don't know till you open the box whether it's a 1 or a 0, a dead or a live number. And that will make computers 100 times faster and 100 times cheaper.
One last question, please. In countries such as Iran, there's always, with any new wave of global technology, there's always concerns that this kind of tools, are they going to give more privacy and agency to the citizen, to the users? Or is this kind of technology is giving more access and tools to the regime to reach and manage everyday life of the people? What's your point of view on this? Because I know you've been working, I don't know, in very big techs such as IBM, you've been working with many big techs, but I think the situation in Middle East, in Iran in particular, it's different in so many ways. Already many civil rights people and I don't know, futuristic people in Iran, they are expressing concerns about the two sides of this blade. I mean the AI on everyday life of Iranians. What's your point of view on this, Chris?
I think we're going in leaps and bounds into the future. In 2011, fintech's value for the total market was about 3% of the market value of the banking institutions, the traditional financial institutions.
What?
10 years later, it was 38%.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's a huge leap forward.
And it's not, they are on the leap of the big jump. I mean, it's not over yet for them.
When I was here the first time, maybe it was the second time, I said, because of the sanctions, the government in Iran should be investing in Bitcoin. At that time,
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
At that time, it was about $1,000,
Yes.
and now it's
Look at
$100,000. And it would be a very different situation, and you could have done. And in fact, a lot of Iranians now are. And
yes.
the question about all of this,
even many, I don't know, proxy agencies of the government, they are already investing on Bitcoin. Yes, you're
and
right.
it's all about how do you protect yourself, at the same time have your decentralized ownership of what you can do in your daily life. And The balance between that is called regulations that governments create, or the network of the power of the people. And so I'll leave you within that statement from where I'm sitting, which is, as everything goes into the network with the power of the people to control their lives on a peer-to-peer basis, recognizing no countries or borders, what is the role of traditional governments? Because the government is now on the network.
Great. Thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to say a few words in Persian for the people.
Of course.
حتما کتاب بخونین، همونطور که توی مصاحبه دیدین در ترجمه از هوش مصنوعی استفاده شده. و بله حتما دوربین من اونه و حتما بخونینش. مطمئنم که کتاب جالبیه، گپ جالبمون رو دیدین و مطمئنم که اگر بتونین سخنرانی کریس رو هم بعداً توی مراسمی که در ادامه روز پیش بود داره گوش بدین، برای شما بسیار جالب خواهد بود. از شما ممنونم و از مجموعه GSS که این فرصت رو برای ما فراهم کرد. موفق باشید. Thank you.